Item number 3, motion to recognize Ashley Vander Meulen with Compass Inspection Services LLC to discuss wind mitigation assessments.
Hello,
Mr. Van
everyone.
Meulen, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. I had the pleasure of meeting you at the Home Builders Association meeting the other day, and I couldn't stop talking about how Councilmember Randall and Councilmember Meyer had already started working down this path, and I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here on such short notice.
No worries. Thank you. My pleasure. I will show up anywhere, anytime to discuss wind mitigation. For me, after Ida, it wasn't a pleasant experience. I lost 12 shingles on my house, had $83,000 worth of damage. Had I simply had a secondary water barrier, I would not have had the issue. And certainly my insurance carrier dropped me after Ida, putting me into a just mess where I went from $6,000 to $18,000, $1,500 a month just for wind insurance. So this subject's very near and dear to my heart. I took that $18,000, did a wind mitigation survey, got it down to $11,000. So it is a big money-saving effort. But I'd like to speak. I am a chairman of the Wind Mitigation Task Force with the Home Builders Association, and I met Gillis at a St. Bernard Chamber event, I believe, just last week. So my pleasure to be here, and I'm just going to run through the presentation to try to educate you folks on maybe some things you already know, or make things a little more understanding for the parish, because the buzzword right now is fortified, but it's not the only option, and it's not necessarily the best option in terms of discounts, depending on who your carrier is. We have an insurance crisis. We have 677,000 homes in the wind zone, St. Bernard, Jefferson Parish, and Orleans being the biggest population with the older homes. And we have to get to this 20%. This is where real change occurred in Alabama and in Florida, where we need 135,000 homes. LDI has tracked 11,000 homes, so we are on our way. But in order for us to promote competition, we have to simply improve our older housing stock. So there are 3 paths to do that. I spoke with Mr. Randall, and St. Bernard Code Office is doing a fabulous job with roof replacements. Jefferson Parish sort of piloted that. It seems like St. Bernard's very, very close to that, perhaps improved it to some degree as well. A Louisiana wind mitigation survey or a fortified roof. I am a wind mitigation surveyor and also a fortified evaluator. I think both programs are wonderful. The code roof replacement is outstanding as well. But roofing permits are mandated statewide now. So anybody that does a re-roof is supposed to be getting a permit. They're breaking the law if they're not. St. Bernard does a good job of requiring that permit and explaining to residents what that's going to look like. Working with the HBA over the past 2 years, LDI and the legislation has passed the Louisiana Roof Registry. And what that is a registry for carriers to go to that's going to track how we're doing against this 135,000. Basically, it's going to tell them the age of the roof. It's going to tell them if they have the secondary water barrier, if they have wind mitigation updates, which I'll go through, or if they have a fortified roof. So this database is huge, and it's being built, and we are working through getting that statewide so we can track this 135,000. Ring shank nails are a big part of this, and I'm going to kind of go through the nuts and bolts, and I'll try not to be too boring on the techie stuff. But Louisiana code requires ring shank nails. Fortified, for example, requires those nails 4 inches apart. Code requires them 6 inches apart. So code is very close to fortified. But fortified costs more because you have to get an evaluator involved, and sometimes your home simply is not going to qualify for fortified because it's going to be cost prohibitive. If your rafter spacing is too wide, you're going to have to get an engineer involved, and in some cases you may have to reframe your roof. Not going to happen. because it's not cost effective. So wind mitigation becomes a very good option. This is where you can find qualified evaluators and roofers. And Fortified's a voluntary program. It is in all cases above code. In all cases, it costs more. They do a very, very good job of documentation and verification. That's why the insurance carriers like them. Everything with Fortified starts with the evaluator. Recommend you call one and get a pre-qualification done on your home to see if you meet the Fortified standards. If you do, move forward with a roofer, and an evaluator can help you. Basically, they want you to nail it down, seal it up, and lock it in. Nailing it down strengthens the structure. Sealing it up keeps the roof, if the roof shingles are removed, prevents damages. And then locking in the edges. Zone 3, or the perimeter of the roof, is the weakest point, and Fortified does a very good job of limiting damages at that wind point. So here's a great example of what a secondary water barrier is. And single-handedly, it is the most important thing we have to do to our roofs when we replace them, which when you do a code roof replacement, this is required. So if you look at the picture to my left, it's a sealed roof deck, and the picture to my right is an unsealed roof deck. Well, this is what it looks like after a hurricane. Which house would you rather come home to? It's a no-brainer. The sealed roof deck will single-handedly solve our insurance crisis, because I wouldn't have had $83,000 worth of damage. I would have needed a $15,000 roof. It is huge, and that's why so many carriers went out of business, because these claims were, in my case, quadruple what a new roof would cost. So Fortified designations are good for 5 years. And then there is a grant. It's closed again for this year. September 12th was the last day. They should be notifying folks. Last I heard was supposed to be today or tomorrow, but nothing has come through our portal yet, so I'm sure that's coming. But that grant will give a homeowner $10,000 to replace their roof to the Fortified standards. But the legislature this year, if you don't want to wait for the grant, you can actually replace your roof to the Fortified standards, and the state will give you a direct tax credit of up to $10,000 to write off over 3 years, which is great. If you pay more than $3,000 in state taxes, you're going to get the full benefit of the $10,000. So the state recognizes the urgency as to which all this has to happen, and the legislature, the governor, and Mr. Temple have done a fabulous job in pushing all of this forward. There's also, this is a grant, it's closed for this year, but it should open again in 2026, but this is an income-driven grant. If you make less than 120% of the median income for the federal zip code, you can get up to $15,000 to replace your roof. And what's different about this one is you can actually get $7,500 for your new construction. This is another possibility. And then the Louisiana State Uniform Construction Code Council, or LSU-CCC, now is their own entity. The director is Brad Hassert. It's the same director as the Construction Council for contractors, and it's 2 entities, and they're sort of a mess right now because they just formed on their own. They're only a board at this point. They have no funding. They have no direction. Mr. Hassert is working on getting all of those things done expeditiously. But the wind mitigation program is much bigger than Fortified Roof. There are many more opportunities for discounts. This is a great brochure that you can find on LDI's website. And insurance carriers, if they're admitted in Louisiana, they have to give you a discount for doing these upgrades. So storm mitigation incentives, there's the website, and then below that is where you can find qualified individuals like myself to do these wind mitigation surveys. But this is the nuts and bolts, and I'll go through this quickly, but it is the key to upgrading our older housing stock. So we need to put secondary water barriers. You can do that in some cases by not replacing the roof, by putting a particular closed cell foam on the underside, not all over, but at the seams and at the junctions. You can put ice and water shield or tape the seams when you replace the roof. Windborne debris protection. This is hurricane shutters, plywood, corrugated plastic, corrugated metal, roller shutters. They now have a hurricane fabric that's a ballistic nylon that goes on like plywood. Those are great upgrades, and that is one of the top discounts under the wind mitigation program, because if you can stop the glass from breaking or the door from opening, the pressure in the house doesn't equalize immediately during a hurricane, which is when your roof blows off. So this is a great prevention for that. And then the shape of the roof is huge. A lot of carriers get this wrong, and doing a wind mitigation survey can correct it. If you have a hip roof, you have the best shaped roof for wind resistance. Doesn't mean you won't get a discount if you have a gable roof, but you do have to brace it, because since, modern code requires it to be braced, and I forget the year, but most of our gable walls are not braced in homes built before 2007. So bracing the gable wall is a very large discount, and it's actually a very inexpensive add to the house, provided you can get in the attic and put the adequate bracing in place. And then the age of the roof is important, and newer shingles today are built to a better standard. So they have 150 mile an hour wind rating, whereas the shingles after Katrina were only 120. So a lot of carriers are dropping roofs for 10 or 15 years or older, and it's one of the largest carriers in the state that's doing this, because they recognize that they're at a great risk with these older, brittle, less wind-resistant shingles. So they really want to ensure the newer technology. So that's where changing your roof is a plus, but not necessarily meeting fortified. And then the gable wall bracing, this is a diagram of how to do that. Basically, all you're doing is, gable walls were not ever framed to withstand wind. They were just there as gravity loads to hold the siding. Well, they have to resist when the wind pushes it in, and they also have to resist when the pressure pushes it out when a door or a window breaks. So by installing this bracing, you brace that gable wall to prevent it from moving inward or outward. And this is a very important step, because this is where we lost a lot of roofs during hurricanes. And then where the rafter meets the top plate is a very weak junction. It's the weakest point in our framing system. Fortified calls it a continuous load path. Really what you need is clips to attach all that together to prevent that uplift in the event of a pressure load where a window breaks or a door opens, where that house wants to poof outward, if you will, where a bunch of air goes in at one time and it forces everything outward. These clips resist that load and hold the house together. Again, very big discount under wind mitigation when you have those. If your home was built before 1996, you don't have them. If your home was built after 1996, you probably have them. But this is a very big upgrade. So that's the nut and bolts of wind mitigation. It's an absolute must. I'd love for everyone to let Compass be your guide, but there are many, many qualified individuals to help guide your residents and constituents through this process. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate letting me tell my story and offer some key upgrades to our existing housing stock to get us to that 135,000.
Ashley, thank you so much for your time here, and I'm sure some council members have some questions for you. So, Councilmember Moniz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council Chair. I have a question. If somebody wants to do the wind mitigation process, where do they go and how do they contact to get one done?
So they can call Compass or a wind mitigation surveyor, but on the presentation I gave you was a list of individuals, and that is at the LSU. Now, I believe it's a standalone website, LSU CCC. Googling that and wind mitigation should get you to that list.
And how much does a wind mitigation cost?
$300.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Moniz. Councilmember Randall, I'm going to ask you to speak just for a second and kind of explain what you've been working on since you haven't keyed in yet, and if you could explain the significance of a BSEG score and some of the things that we've uncovered in our investigation into CRS, and predominantly your and Councilmember Myers' investigation. I don't want to take any undue credit, so please.
Thank you, Council Chair.
Well,
So
Madam Clerk,
I was going to ask you 3 rapid-fire questions that you've already answered, but I just wanted to single them out very quickly so people can know very quickly. Fortified roof versus wind mitigation, 2 completely separate programs.
Absolutely, completely separate.
So, but fortified can enhance your wind mitigation.
Correct. If you have a fortified roof, that is one potential discount. If you do the wind mitigation, there are up to 7, as I showed on the slides.
You did also mention hip roof is your biggest single discount right off the bat. If you have a hip roof, biggest discount that you get in wind mitigation. However, if you have a gable roof, you lose that. But there is a low-cost, budget-friendly way to modify a gable roof to still get the biggest discount.
That is correct. By bracing the gable, you equate it to a hip roof because it's now going to resist that inward and outward pressure.
And that would be, in comparison to a fortified roof, substantially cheaper.
Substantially cheaper.
And then lastly, shutters. Just how easy is it to get your shutter discount on the wind mitigation survey?
It is a matter of checking the box, but it has to be a specific type of shutter. It has to meet an ASTM wind rating, otherwise you do not get the discount. All impact glass, all impact shutters are not created equally. You have to meet the ASTM standard, and where I can check that box, there's an enormous discount.
Perfect. So now to get in what Council Chair has asked me to do. So we have moved money in the budget to start a wind mitigation education program. We did this quite a while ago. We have interacted with our tourism department, who is really good at marketing things. So what I would love to ask for, and what I asked for you earlier, is any ideas that you have for marketing this. We have your presentation already. I think that's extremely important. Any other marketing ideas that you have, I would love to get from you so we can create a real market to get this out to the masses. So you have Tim Temple, our insurance commissioner, who calls this the best kept secret in Louisiana. It is, for $300, the possibility of saving 10, 15, 20% on your homeowners. If you're with USAA, I will tell you now, that discount is the highest of any insurance company, and you can save about 50% off of your homeowner's bill if you are with USAA and you do a wind mitigation survey and you score well. I mean, that's colossal. We
Yes.
are in an insurance crisis for sure, and bringing this knowledge to people is incredibly important in my opinion. On top of that, while I wasn't going to talk about a BSEG score yet because there's a possibility for a press conference to do that, I will mention it now. We recently applied for a BSEG score in St. Bernard Parish. The first time we've had one since 2002, and we scored extraordinarily well. And it would be remiss if we did not congratulate and thank Merritt Landry and the Community Development Program for the work that they did in this. It was an astronomical amount of work over more than a year-long process to get this score. So with that being said, that is an important step also in lowering homeowners' costs for the residents of St. Bernard Parish. It is a evaluation of our building code. From what I've gathered, industry average is about, it's a backwards grading scale, right? So the higher your number, the worse the score. So 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. The industry average is about an 8 or a 7. We scored a 4.
Right.
So our building code in St. Bernard Parish is pretty robust. That's a good thing for the homes in our parish.
Yes.
That also plays a role into something else that we're fighting, which I mentioned to you earlier, is we are trying to get back into CRS to help with the cost of rising flood insurance, which unfortunately, I don't think anybody knows what the max cost of that is going to be because they've still never opened up risk rating 2.0 for us to know what our maximum cost of flood insurance will be. So by getting into CRS, we can save 10, 15% on your flood insurance as well. The BSEG score is a factor in your CRS score. So getting the BSEG score first while fighting to get back into CRS is a very logical step in this process to hopefully save every homeowner or every single person who has insurance in St. Bernard Parish some money.
That is correct. We have all been hit with max policy values. And just to help clarify this, a home built in 2021 or after to the 2021 code already has a lot of these wind mitigation updates, and that homeowner should have a fairly good insurance rate. But the home built in 1950, 1960 is not going to have many of these updates, and those are the ones that are going to be paying higher premiums. Like in my case, my home was built in 1978. So I had very few of these, but I did a few of them, and I did them in conjunction with the return on investment that I was able to save $7,000 a year and frankly keep my house. So what's happening is the insurance commissioner is putting on the website, there is a discount by carrier for fortified roof. They are now putting a discount by carrier for wind mitigation, which we've been asking for years, and it's going to be huge and enticing folks to get that return on the investment and move all of this forward because it's our only way out of this insurance crisis.
Ashley, thank you so very much for being here. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Thank you to this council for doing the work, and it is my hope that not only are we celebrating the BSEG score and the entrance in the CRS, but promoting the wind mitigation program and fortified roof program and to all of the residents in St. Bernard Parish to get our overall municipal rating down and create a competitive housing market for the people who build and sell homes and eventually those who buy homes in St. Bernard Parish. So
Yeah.
thank you so very much for being
And
here.
thank you, and I'm happy to help. I teach this to real estate agents and all kinds of folks across the board, and would be happy to do a class or something with St. Bernard.
Well, I think it's our hope that eventually when it comes down to the designing of that marketing program that we'll be able to rely on you for informing that program before we release it. So thank
Happy
you.
to do it. Thank you all so
Wonderful.
much. All
Ashley,
right.
thank you so much for being here.